Yeah, show me my opponent. Top spot, I want it. My grind, I'm on it. Can't stop, keep going. One and only, can't clone me. I remember feeling lonely. I remember when they told me I would never get the trophy. Show me my opponent. Top spot, I want it. My grind, I'm on it. Can't stop, keep going. One and only, can't clone me. I remember feeling hungry. Now I'm coming for the trophy. Cause this is my moment. I'm a ball till I fall, I'ma answer the call. I'm a beast, I'm a dog, and my back against the wall. I accept every challenge, had to battle for my balance. From a peasant to the palace, treat the trophy like a chalice. Stayed on my grind, great things take time. Now how I shine, you might go blind. Come along for the ride, cause I'm headed to the top with it. Going is my only option, they can never ever stop it. Show me my opponent, top spot, I want it. My grind, I'm on it. Can't stop, keep going. One and only, can't clone me. I remember feeling lonely. I remember when they told me I would never get the trophy. Show me my opponent. Top spot, I want it. My grind, I'm on it. Can't stop, keep going. One and only, can't clone me. I remember feeling hungry. Now I'm coming for the trophy. Cause this is my moment. My moment. So many days, so many nights, I had to fall, I had to fight, I had to find the strength inside, keep hope alive. Through the dark, I found my light and now I shine. So many days, so many nights, I had to fall, I had to fight, I had to find the strength inside, keep hope alive. Through the dark, I found the light and now it's mine. Cause this is my moment. My moment. Cause this is my moment.
Look at my shine with the glow. This is my time with it though. This is my time to be way at the top. Me and my guys gon' pay out the block. I don't look like wall. Time's right, and I know they see us walking in the limelight. Promise you gon' wanna watch like a sci-fi. My guys are high risers, high tide. My crown if you come to my side. I pledge allegiance for lifetime. My squad connected like Wi-Fi. We grind and you see the highlights. This my life. It ain't a game now. Me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way. You wasn't invited. Say you come to play. I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me. Then step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Game now, me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way. You wasn't invited. Say you come to play. I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me. Then step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way.
Cause I know looks can be deceiving. Show me what I should be seeking, so we can run riot and beat kings. Send me out, all guns are blowing. invincible. No, we won't be shut out. Won't take this flying down. Hey, it won't save you now, 'cause we're invincible. No, we won't be shut out. Won't take this flying down. Hey, it won't save you now, 'cause we're invincible. Show me a battle horizon. I'll show you an army worth fighting. 'Cause we don't take nothing lying down low. No, we bet teeth and skin ready for biting. So point me in every direction. In the prize I can see my reflection. 'Cause we can take everything you got and spit it right back, 'cause we're ready for action. Take aim and fire up. Smoke's rising higher. You know your time's up. We won't back down for nothing. Take aim and fire up. Smoke's rising higher. You know your time's up. We won't back down for nothing. 'Cause we're invincible. No, we won't be shut out. Won't take this flying down. Hey, it won't save you now, 'cause we're invincible. No, we won't be shut out. Won't take this flying down. Hey, it won't save you now, 'cause we're invincible. Take aim and fire up. Smoke's rising higher. Take
and it's been months and months of intense racing, but we are finally here at the halfway point. I'm your host, Camille Salazar-Hadaway, and welcome to Charlotte Motor Speedway for Coca-Cola 150. Now, before we look ahead, we have to take a look back and catch up on all the action that went down in Kansas.
As we say, let's go racing at Kansas. Oh, and they're stacking up behind Mullis. Several cars into the outside wall. The 55 is one of them. Pit lane is open, though, for the first time tonight. It looks like it is almost wholesale service, with the exception of Bobby Zelensky. Green flag back in the air with 84 laps to go. Clearly, tires was the decision, because Zelensky dropping like a rock is already outside of the top 23, and it is only going to continue to get worse for the Interstate Batteries, number 18. Charlotte Phoenix 2-3 down the back straightaway, 3 wide though. Garrett Lowe going to go inside of Casey Kerwin.
And a lot of Garrett's making some moves right there. Garrett Maines nearly got into Corey Vincent, who again is stacking up that outside line. I think Kerwin, unfortunately, is a sitting duck here on the bottom. They're going to have a huge run. Kerwin going to try to side draft Graham. It's not going to work. Lowe going to go up the middle, 3 wide, and they're going to crash. Grant Bolin hard into the wall. Kerwin tries to save it. Caution is out.
Trying to get his second career win in the series, but most importantly, Garrett Lowe came into tonight 20th in the standings, right on the relegation bubble, and a huge win. Gonna put him into the postseason. Garrett Lowe wins at Kansas.
What a race that was. And, you know, we have our amazing analysts joining us. We have Alan Cavana, Brandon Cattell. How y'all doing? And what were your thoughts on Kansas?
Well, thanks, Camille. Thoughts about Kansas. Thank God we're not in Kansas anymore, because Keegan Leahy wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. Keegan Leahy's now in the 21st position in the points after last week. Just a terrible season starting out for the former champion, for the last year's champion, for the 2021 champion, guys. I don't know what he needs to do to get back on top here, but he needs to pick it up fast. Only 8 races left until the playoffs start. He's got to pick it up, guys.
You got to pick up that pace, Alan. It was a tough one.
It was, and you don't think that often when you think Kansas, how crazy is this going to be? But it wasn't safe for anybody out there at Kansas. Big names had some really tough days in that race. Think about it. Nick Ottinger, 30th place. Steven Wilson, 23rd. Blake Reynolds, 21st. To me, that's just a reminder that there is no safety in the field, right? The only safety in this league is winning. Fortunately for Nick Ottinger, for Steven, the bad finish doesn't hurt them too bad because they have wins. But everyone else in this field, they are fighting for every single point if they want to make the playoff. And again, you can have a bad day. Kansas proved that. Any day could be a bad day, and the only way for safety is to go out there and get a win tonight.
You got to get the win. That's what Alan's saying. But Brandon, I need to know what you're saying about the point standings.
Well, let's take a look at them, Camille. Nothing has really changed that much, but Taylor Hurst and Corey Vincent, the Team Dillon guys, I know we talked about them last week. They are staying steady in the 9th and 10th position right now in the points. But that can all change in an instant. We know with somebody else getting a win who hasn't won this season could easily knock them out. They are looking good right now, though. And another team who's looking good, I want to talk about Rise Esports. Jimmy Mullis and Zach Novak. They have both gained 2 positions in the point standings after last week in Kansas. We talk about Jimmy Mullis being really good in the summer months, and that is showing up right now.
Well, let's talk about teams. You mentioned Rise. Alan, take us through the team standings.
Yeah, look at the team standings because we have a new team on top. Team Dillon Esports on top of the standings. Taylor Hurst, Corey Vincent helping that team to a 3-point lead over Jim Beaver Esports right now. Charlotte Phoenix bad day in Kansas, dropped. A big drop all the way down to 5th. And look at the bottom there. Kudos to Elliott Sadler Esports jumping into the top 10, replacing last year's champions 2311 Racing, who drop out of the top 10. A lot of shakeup when it comes to Kansas.
There's so much shakeup that's happening, especially with these point standings and team standings as we look to last season. But we are here at the halfway point of this season, so I think it's time for a little bit of a halfway check-in. And I'm going to ask you both a few questions just to get your different takes so that our viewers at home could know what they should be expecting and looking forward to in this season. So let's start with Alan. Alan, will we see 10 different winners in 2022?
10 different winners? No way. Now, I know some are going to say, look, the math says we already had 5 different winners in 7 races. Why can't we have 5 more? I just don't think it's going to happen. The tracks that are left, the winners who have already won, the cream that has risen to the top, Nick Ottinger, I think he gets potentially another win. That another opportunity off the plate for someone else to get their first win, if you will. Michael Conti, too good. Femi, we see what he's doing, leading the points and being so consistent. I expect him to get into victory lane once again. So 10 different winners, no way, not happening.
Oh, not happening, not optimistic about it. Brandon, are you optimistic of maybe seeing a third driver get their first win in 2022?
I mean, absolutely. When we have drivers like Michael Guest, Blake Reynolds running in the top 10 each week, they're still looking for their first wins. I think absolutely we will see somebody get their first career win in 2022.
All right, there you have it, Alan. This one's for you. Of the remaining regular season races, which one is going to be the most challenging for drivers to earn their spot in the playoffs?
Well, we have 2 road courses left before we get to the playoffs, so I'm going to go with one of them and say Road America. I mean, the track is still new on the scene, if you will, for the top level racing, especially on the NASCAR side. Fairly new to the schedule, but the track itself, high speed straightaways, slow corners. That means it takes a lot of different talent and abilities to master a track like this. Low speed corners, like I was saying, it'll take a special talent. But remember, what can be problematic for some could be an opportunity for others. So it'll be problems for some of the field, but maybe there's some specialists out there, get that win, sneak into the playoffs.
All right, we'll have to see if someone could get their win. But Brandon, I need to ask, we're talking these next-gen cars. Do we think these next-gen cars could provide an opportunity for a former champion to rise back to the top?
Yes, I mean, we were already seeing that with Michael Conti and Nick Ottinger. We know how good they are with cars with low downforce, higher horsepower, less grip, and they are showing it each week in each race out. We definitely see that these guys have a shot at the championship, and they are the cream of the crop right now. So, yes, absolutely.
Another optimistic answer from Brandon. I love it, Alan. I'm coming with you with the hard-hitting questions. Do you think that there'll be any more repeat winners in 2022?
Yeah, I think it's possible. Look, we've already seen Nick Ottinger. We've already seen Michael Conti collect multiple checkered flags. And so my eye, again, is really on Femi. We saw what he did at the beginning of the season, starting the season off with a victory at Daytona. That was big. But even since then, he has been so consistent. That's why he has scored the most points in this league this year so far, is because of his consistency. Second place at Kansas, he was already almost a repeat winner. So yes, I think we see another repeat winner. Femi first, maybe Nick, Michael Conti, maybe getting more wins. Another repeat win for them.
All right. Okay, Brandon, to finish things off, let's take a look at the history, the facts behind our championship. Out of the 12 championships, only one driver has won at Charlotte and taken that championship home. Do you think that's possible this season?
I think it's going to change tonight because, okay, we have to look at the factors so far this season. Michael Conti, Nick Ottinger, they have been strong on the mile and a half. So we know how good Logan Clampett is on the mile and a half. If he can get better in the points and fight for this championship, one of those drivers wins tonight, they will definitely go on and win the championship. I think that curse will be broken.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's really bold. We'll have to see and revisit maybe this conversation next week to see if you're right about this one. because that's really going against all odds.
A lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure.
Title.
A lot of pressure, but a lot of optimism from Brandon.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes,
I love it. Now, as we continue to look ahead, I think it's really important to kind of highlight those drivers that are really standing out as potential contenders for the title, but also maybe some that are concerning with their performance so far in the series. So, Brandon, I want to start with you. Who's the driver that you want to put a spotlight on as a potential contender for the title, and maybe one that's a little bit concerning considering their performance so far?
Well, we have to look at the spotlight for Femi Ola. I mean, Femi, he got the win at Daytona, and ever since then, it has been smooth sailing for the number 79 team. He has had each week a good run. I mean, last week at Kansas, he had a shot to win with a couple laps left. He has multiple top fives. He's getting it done this season. He might be the dark horse for the championship just because he's in the right place at the right time. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, for the concern, Logan Clampett, I know I just talked about him, but Logan, every point this season, it seems like he's been upside down, on his side, spinning out in multiple wrecks, and I feel bad for him because we know how good the William Byron Esports team is this season. We know Nick Ottinger is stealing these wins. He's running top 5 each week. So we know if Logan can find some luck this season, he can maybe steal a playoff spot and go for the championship again like he did last year.
All right, Alan, for you as well, who's that spotlight driver and the one that may be a little bit concerning considering their performance so far?
Hey, the best way to get a spotlight on you is get checkered flags, right? That's why I'm talking about our boy Nick Ottinger, who's got 2 of them already. And really a strange season so far. Remember, back in Daytona, it didn't start off the season really great, had a bad finish. Last week in Kansas, terrible race. But look what he's done in between. Pretty dang good. 2 wins, no finish, worse than 4th between Daytona and Kansas. That's pretty good. That'll put you in line to win a championship. He's already done that in his past. He's a former champ, and he is poised to do it again. Now let's talk about concerns. I mentioned former champs. Speaking of former champs, I'm currently worried about the current champion, Keegan Leahy. We showed you the points earlier in the show. We know he's a talented driver, obviously. But this next-gen car, the new setups, I don't know what it is. Right place, wrong time. Wrong place, right time. Whatever it is, Keegan Leahy is struggling this year. I'm officially concerned halfway through the season. I mean, again, just trying to make the playoffs, not even try to defend his championship. He's got a lot of work to do. 4 straight finishes of 19th or worse for Keegan. He's in must-win. In my book, he's in must-win territory already.
And what a turnaround from last year, because when we look at it, Keegan Leahy, Logan Clampett, they were both battling for the championship in the last race, and now they're nowhere to be found. So
yeah.
It just shows you that you really never know what you're going to get with the series. But we do know what we're going to get in Charlotte as we look towards the Coca-Cola 150. But I wonder how general managers kind of play into a race like this. Alan, you have Greg Walter standing by.
Yeah, it's so cool to be part of this town. You know, I live in Charlotte, so the race is right up the street this weekend. We get to go to the Coca-Cola 150 tonight, so happy to have Greg Walter on here tonight. He's the Executive Vice President for Charlotte Motor Speedway, as well as the GM, joining us now. And Greg, that's the first question. What does the general manager do at a track like Charlotte Motor Speedway?
Sure. So I'm general manager for the Charlotte Motor Speedway and the entire campus of race facilities here. And my job is basically, chief cheerleader, if you will, and making sure that all the various disciplines interact, move forward as we get ready to put on a remarkable event like the Coca-Cola 600. So a lot of times it's just providing encouragement, making sure we're staying within the guardrails, so to speak. But this staff's incredibly talented. I just try to stay out of the way and be sure that we put on deliver the vision that our CEO has in terms of remarkable events.
Everyone excited for the big race this weekend, the Coca-Cola 600 on the NASCAR side. They announced it's a sellout, the general seating. So what do you all have planned for all the fans that are going to show up on Sunday?
This is probably going to be one of the most incredible Coca-Cola 600 weekends ever. So we've moved Speed Street, which has traditionally been downtown, up here to the track. So there's this music festival. We have all sorts of engagement and things going on. We rented a 90-foot Ferris wheel to be out in the fan zone. We got, bullfighting. We've got guys fighting in armor. We got the Spear of Death. It's gonna be like a county fair broke out in the fan zone. I've got Flo Rida playing Friday night, Steve Miller Band playing Saturday night. And then for the pre-race, and part of that celebration that we do as part of the Coca-Cola 600, I've got Leonard Skinner playing the concert before we get things started. So if you've never been to the Coca-Cola 600, it's probably one of the most patriotic celebrations of the day, and bringing acknowledgement and thanks to those servicemen and women who are currently in our armed forces. It also kind of brings light to the fact that we're on the eve of Memorial Day, and what Memorial Day is about for our country, to honor those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. It's an amazing weekend. It's an experience. We got people coming here from all 50 states and at least 12 different countries. So it's an international event, and we're super excited to host it.
Big race on Sunday. Big race tonight with the Coca-Cola 150 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So, iRacing gives a platform to the fans that are going to show up at Charlotte Motor Speedway, maybe have some rigs out there. What does that mean to you to have those two worlds combined?
One of the things we love to do here is to take guests out on the track in the pace car and have them feel the embankment, have them feel all the nuances that makes the Charlotte Motor Speedway so special. For iRacing, to be able to replicate that in such detail and give anyone who gets behind the wheel and plays the game that same feel and experience of what 24 degrees feels like, or the way that the dog leg on the front stretch lays down for them, is incredible. And that's not just here, that's around the world. And the opportunity for people to experience what our fans are able to view is a really neat ambassador-like platform that folks can get a glimpse or experience a little bit of what makes this track so special.
Greg, that's awesome. Thanks for joining us on here. Look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Camille, it's always fun to have, we're going to race tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and to be able to know that they embrace all that and all the events going on this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway here just up the road from where I am. That's really cool to know.
So I'm guessing you're going, Alan?
Oh, I will be there. Even if I wasn't working, I would be there. I'll be tuning on the radio, PRN, the Performance
I was going to say,
Network.
you better be there.
Yeah, he would have snuck in anyways if he wasn't working.
Absolutely. I'd be one of the fans.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I cannot wait to see the races go down tonight and over the weekend. But you know what I'm mostly excited for? My favorite segment. It's Twitter Rigs time. This is presented by Logitech. This gives us an opportunity to look at your rigs at home. And we got our first one here from Ronnie.
Ooh, love
Big
it.
screens. I feel like everyone has been leveling up their screen sizes throughout the series.
Love it. Outlaws, too. I like what he's racing there, too.
Another triple monitor here. I got to
Triple
get on the
monitor.
triple monitor move here.
Old school paint scheme. I like that. But yeah, the triple monitor, the buttons there on the left.
We gotta
what
love
do
it.
those buttons do?
Another
one?
triple monitor. I wonder if the next one after this will also be a triple monitor or maybe a quadruple monitor. I want to see the most monitors here.
There you go.
Oh,
yeah.
wow, this one is really cool.
That's triple. They're just not on at the moment. I mean, look at him. He's Carson. He got him surrounded. That's really cool.
Maybe a little bit of cable management. We're forgetting about that
Hey.
as the series goes along. There we go.
Got the king.
And we got a power bar right there,
Old
making
school
sure
and
everything's
new.
connected. I love it.
Richard Petty and iRacing. I love that one right there.
Oh, wow. This is a whole booth rig.
Oh, wow.
You got to step in there.
It's like a sound booth or a photo booth to me.
Yeah.
Wow.
You could just close the door on that and then it's gone.
Something like you see at the mall or something.
I have a photo booth as you're racing. I love
Nice,
it.
Johnny.
Oh, I really like all of this.
This is simple. This is
Yep,
perfect.
Joey's got a great simple setup underneath all those die casts, which I am a huge fan of. I'm more jealous of the die casts, got to be honest, Joey. Look at this
There
one.
we go. Quadruple monitor. This is what I'm talking about, Rob.
Good
Love the
job, Rob.
microphone,
Running the
too.
modifieds at Martinsville, that's fun. That is a good use of 4 monitors.
Let's
All right.
go back. Okay.
VR for this guy.
Nothing wrong with a nice simple setup here.
Who needs
And-
a monitor when it's VR? I like it.
Exactly. In VR, the
He's got
setup's
more room in his
insane.
apartment.
Okay. Nice. Good job, Mark.
Ooh, lots of RBG lighting.
I
Yes.
love the cases for the diecast here with the lights. That is so cool.
Yeah, that is a great room right there. Great job.
I mean, every time y'all at home are just leveling up these rigs. And remember to keep sending them to us using the hashtag eNASCAR and tagging both NASCAR and iRacing so we could show everyone else your beautiful rigs. And right now, Brandon, you gotta show us the track and take us through what we could expect in Charlotte.
Absolutely. We are not in Kansas anymore. We are in the beautiful Charlotte Motor Speedway in Concord, North Carolina. Beautiful racetrack. Opened all the way back in 1960, and it has hosted the Coca-Cola 150 for about, I'd say, 11 years on iRacing now, 11 or 12 years. Let's take a look around lap around the track right now, as we're going to look at the USO car of Nick Ottinger. Funny thing, Corey, can't think of his name, sorry about that, but Corey LaJoy, yes, that's the guy. Corey LaJoy is running the same paint scheme this weekend, but we're going around the track. Lots of off-throttle time in 1 and 2. You're going to see a good handling race car paint the white line and then come up off this corner. You're going to see a little bit of side drafting down the straightaway to stay even down into turn 3. Now, turn 3, that's a little bit of a mixed bag. You're going to see somebody dime in the corner, either run the middle or the white line again. Also, this is where we're going to see incidents tonight. Funneling off the 4, there's a bad bump. It's going to be a great race tonight.
A great race indeed for the Coca-Cola 150. I'm excited. Are you too?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I love the track analysis. Just learning about the bumps, learning how real it is, learning they'll be off throttle going into 1. I mean, that's so realistic and provides for good racing when they're off throttle. That's so cool to hear.
Well, I was more asking if you're excited because it's time to talk about picks, which I just need to talk about the points a little bit. Camille, myself, still in the lead, but Brandon, you're catching up.
Yeah. I guess I'm just picking the right drivers each week.
You are, and you know what? I had a really clean talk with our producer, Drew, and I said, you know what? It is time to take back those points that we gave you both just because Drew felt sorry. So these are your official points, but we need to talk about your official picks. Brandon, tonight, who do you think is going to take it?
Well, I think we've seen the mile and a half be strong this year with Michael Conti. I think we're going to see that again. I think the number 8 car is going to go to victory lane here at Charlotte.
Yeah, not bad. And I hear he's on the pole, too. So breaking news there. Michael Conti gets the pole, and your pick probably get you some points. But no, he won't get the win. Because my pick, Camille, is going to get the win. Casey Kerwin is going to get the win tonight because I just like what he's been doing on the mile and a half. I like his momentum. I think we get a new winner tonight. And I get a bunch of points. That's what I want.
Well, last time, we picked the same driver. I'm going a little different today. Steven Wilson is my pick. We're going to shake it up. We're going to see who's going to take the race this time. And I'm really excited because it's now a closer race, Brandon. I got to look up your points and make sure that you're staying back there, so hopefully I got a good pick.
You had to stop playing defense there. You had to get on offense there. So I see what's happening.
I'm coming though. I'm coming.
All right, Alan. We'll wait up here while you make that trick. But you know what? It is Memorial Day long weekend, and that means that the drivers are also celebrating with their paint schemes. So let's take a look at the different paint schemes that they have. Oh, I love this. This is nice. This is Corey Vincent.
Still in all here with the little checker flag and the number there. That was really unique. I've never seen that before.
I just love that. I mean, the way they do these paint schemes for this weekend, like we're seeing Michael Conti here, all the red, white, and blue, the flags that are incorporated to these paint schemes, like Michael Guest there, the checker flag. All these are so neat for this weekend. So special.
Yeah, I love to see the flags, the pride of the country, all there as well. We also have, I think, some military schemes underneath, some paint underneath there.
Yeah, a lot of them have real cool details, like the camouflage stuff. Jimmy Mullis there with the cool. You can see the camo there on the front of the 5 for Zach Novak. A lot of really, honoring the military and all the branches.
This one's one of my favorite Femi because it's like a rocket popsicle.
Are you saying that because it's painted by Drew, or?
Maybe I'm trying to butter up Drew for some extra points here. Maybe. Maybe.
We just saw one of the RFK cars. That's how they will be on Sunday for the NASCAR Coca-Cola 600. So to see those in the Coke 150 tonight is pretty cool. There's our drivers, Camille.
We got our drivers here, and they look like they're going to be playing a little offensive going into this race, Coca-Cola 150. Anyone standing out to you right now, Brandon?
It's got to be Mullet Man. Really?
It's always Mullet Man.
It's got to be Mullet Man
Always
with
Mullet
Colin there. Look at him. He was just on his phone there. He's in the right column in the second row. He is ready to get this thing started. Donovan Strauss, he's putting on his headset there in the second row top. He's ready to roll. Everybody
Steven
looks...
Wilson has like laser focus right now on the left second row there.
And don't forget, upper right corner, the winner tonight, Casey Kerwin, just looking chill. Oh, there's the pole setter.
Here's the winner of the race.
Oh no.
That's a good looking car. That's
It is
beautiful.
a very, very good looking car. And you know what? There's just so much. I feel like a lot of the drivers now know we are reaching that halfway point. They really need to step up their game, and it's going to be interesting how they handle Charlotte, really.
There's Femi's car. You know, if we could go back to that shot of Michael Conti's car, I talked about it in the track thing, but looking at his car, he was painting the white line so perfectly.
Yeah.
The car was just handling so well. We see actually a couple drivers running against the wall and trying to make that work. We see Jimmy Mullis in the Blue Angel car. That's a great paint scheme. But I really think if you're going to get the job done tonight, it's going to be right around the bottom. You're going to save those tires, and that's really what's going to win you the race.
What do you think of the situation halfway through? I mean, some of these drivers, Brandon, they need a victory. That may be their only path to a playoff. Aggression.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see that tonight. I think a lot of drivers, there's not much strategy you can do. It's 100 laps. You're probably going to pit around lap 50 here. You're going to split up the runs. You might see some drivers try to short pit and try to get in front of the others and hope for a caution. But there's not a lot of strategy tonight. You're going to have to wheel it if you're going to want to win.
Ooh, that's just making me want a popsicle right now. With Femi's car, I need a rocket right now. But you're right. You know, it's not a lot of wiggle room for them to really make up ground. So it's really off the bat when that flag goes. They have to make sure they're laser focused. I'm just curious if some of them have that fact in their mind that, you know, the winner of Charlotte usually doesn't take that championship. So it'll be interesting if that mind game kind of plays into it as well.
I would love to, yeah. They'll be fine if they win tonight, let me tell you. No one's going to be sad if they win Charlotte Motor Speedway. Don't worry.
They just want to win.
That is true. That is true. Well, thank you two so much for joining me and providing all of the analysts for everyone at home to watch. I'm so happy that we're here for you today, but stay tuned because the race is ahead. This is the Coca-Cola 150. Enjoy.
They say that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one single step. But maybe it begins with one single start. Turn, bump, grind, pit, pass, win.
Rhodes, the winner! That's crazy what happens on the last lap here.
And celebration. In NASCAR, that journey starts here. I am the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. I am NASCAR.
This is virtual racing with real life stakes.
My expectation of making this championship for it.
Ray Alfala, it's for sure a threat to the competition. My number one goal is to get back in victory lane.
I'm gonna just go out there and control what I can control.
10 feet ahead and you catch me in something you'll never do. I turn around and I level. No motivation is needed. Look, I put myself on the pedestal. This is incredible. This how it feels at the top. Got no incentive to stop. Put the work in, I'm out of here. Murder the tune is around here. Reviving the beat, then it's right back to sleeping. I use a technique that ain't got me here.
The road to $300,000 runs through the birthplace of stock car racing. We're tonight from iRacing's virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. We say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to round 8 of the 2022 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Well, hello and welcome to tonight's Coca-Cola 150, the 8th race of this 2022 campaign. And as we welcome you into the eNASCAR booth, as always, alongside Blake McCandless, my name is Evan Pasoko. And Blake, we are halfway home in the regular season. The championship picture gets a little bit more clear week by week, and a big race tonight for some drivers who have struggled in the last couple of outings.
Can you already believe, Evan, that we're almost halfway through the regular season? And what a fitting stop around Memorial Day weekend. We see a lot of special paint schemes out on the racetrack today, and of course to come to a venue where you think about endurance and how well this next-gen car races at these mile and a half. Should be an exciting night for sure.
It is going to be an exciting one. Charlotte Motor Speedway, we've talked a lot about these intermediate racetracks and how good they have been this year in this eNASCAR championship, in the NASCAR Cup Series, and we have another one on deck here tonight. So to get things kicked off, we go trackside. We'll hand things off to Charlotte Motor Speedway Executive Vice President and General Manager Greg Walter for the most famous words in motorsports.
On behalf of the Smith family and our entire team here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, drivers, start your engines!
And we take a look at your Coca-Cola starting grid for the 18th time in his career, tying for second on the all-time list of poles. Michael Conti will bring us to the green flag tonight in his Junior Motorsports Chevrolet, alongside the E-Racer entry of Colin Bowden. Run number 2, we'll see the duo of the Stewart-Haas entry of Stephen Wilson, alongside 2311's Keegan Leahy, who needs a big showing, who fell out of the top 20 at points last week. William Esports gets Vicente Salas in the top 5, alongside Jim Beaver Esports is number 9 of Michael Guest. Run number 4, we'll see the X-Set Casey Kerwin entry, alongside the William Byron Esports entry of Nick Ottinger in position number 25, and then just behind them, Dylan Duvall, the second Stewart-Haas entry inside of the top 10, with Space Station Gaming's Alan Bowes.
Graham Bolin, an awfully strong run for Charlotte Phoenix last week. In that live event, we'll start alongside Malik Ray, who is about as excited as anybody as I heard him practice to get this race going. Donovan Strauss from Williams Esports roll on from 13th. Femi Olot, your Daytona winner, will start in 14th for Clint Boyer Racing. Cody Bias, Mode Media House, or Mode Motorsports, I should say, will start in the 15th spot next to Taylor Hurst, riding in the 16th position. 17th to 2311's Mitchell DeYoung, who will roll on 17th. 18th to Blake Reynolds. 19th will be Jimmy Mullis for Rise Esports, and Bobby Zielinski for JGR will round out your top 20.
Halfway home, you'll find Brian Vicario, the Latard Esports entry, alongside the Elliott Sadler entry of Garrett Maines in 22nd. The extra X-Set car of Ryan Lewis is going to be back at road number 12, along with the other of the William Byron Chevrolets. That's going to be Logan Clampett in 24th position. Derek Bordeaux will start his E-Racer entry on the inside of route 13, with the other of the Junior Motorsports Chevrolets of Brian LaPrade. Parker Retzlaff going to roll his RFK Ford off into position 27 and be alongside the second of Charlotte Motor Sports entry. That's Matt Boosin, 28th. Liam Brotherton's number 2 for Elliott Sadler Esports starts 29th. And the Wood Brothers, 60 to Blade Witt, is P30.
Well, I hope that Roush Fenway Keselowski's Caden Honeycutt can load back in, experiencing some connection issues right now, but is slated in 31st. Last week's winner for the Wood Brothers, starting 32nd. Not too well of a follow-up effort there from Garrett Lowe, but we know he can race right through the field. JGR's Ray Alfala will start in 33rd. 34th will go to Zach Novak, and one of my favorite paint schemes I saw out of Rise Esports. Dylan Alt for Elliott Sadler Esports will start in 35th. 36th to Team Dylan and Corey Vincent. Nick Shelton, the former winner here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, will start 37th for Clint Boyer Racing. Derek Justice for iRacing Motorsports in 38th. Kyle Peddle, not a whole lot of luck in qualifying this year. He'll start 39th. And Colin Keister, your lone driver, not going to make it out tonight, serving a suspension for incident points for the Charlotte Phoenix. 39 cars set to do battle here at Charlotte.
As always, James Pike going to be the third member of our broadcast team. He'll be on to the pit lane and talking to drivers over the course of the night. James, welcome to the show.
Indeed, we've got Junior Motorsports Michael Conti starting P1. And Michael, biggest differences you've noticed between the way this car races compared to the Gen 6?
Just the way you attack the corners is completely different. You've got to be a lot more smooth with your inputs, a lot more smooth with your yaw. Just need to be more smooth in general. So just really excited to be out front here for WR1, Junior Motorsports, home race for them. Hopefully we can keep it together for the race.
Starting to his outside will be eRacer's Colin Bowden, our in-race reporter for this evening. And Colin, given that you haven't had the best of luck, how big is the good track position tonight starting this race?
Yeah, it's pretty big. I mean, track position's really key with these shorter races. I mean, you don't have a lot of time to do anything. Kind of surprised to have the e-racer machine up here. We have not shown any speed at all week. Been never really get around this place that good in an open setup, so hopefully we don't fall through the field like a rock, but maybe we'll have our luck turn around tonight. Just hopefully we have a clean race, keep it all together, and be there at the end.
Should be looking at a big race for both of these drivers, Evan.
Yeah, they come into tonight in very different places. Michael Conti, one of only 2 different multi-time race winners this year, Colin Bowden 29th in the points. He may take solace in the fact that his best finish this year was a P9 at an intermediate in Vegas. This race, though, very different to what it looked like on the calendar last year. Blake has walked through us with a look at Race's race analysis.
Yeah, going to be a little bit different tonight, Evan, as we take a look at our ASUS race analysis. 150 miles, 100 laps taking place for you at Charlotte tonight. You see the tire sets there. That has been a key concern for drivers all year long, and especially here at Charlotte, not going to be any different. 45 miles an hour down there on the pit lane, so you have to slow it down quite a bit here to get down to speed. And, of course, that fuel window going to come into play at a track where you have a 100-lap race, no doubt about it. The weather tonight for this race in the sim, pretty tame, 77 degrees, 83-degree track temperature, much like what you'll see in the Coca-Cola 600 on Sunday, but perhaps won't get into the portion of the night, Evan, where we're going to see too much cover, or at least that sun kind of barreled behind the grandstands here. This track going to be pretty lit up for this one, should make it a little bit slicker out there.
Yeah, just a little bit shy of 7 o'clock local time in sim means that the sun will certainly start to duck away, but this is very much a sprint race, like many of them on the calendar here in 2022. We are halfway through the regular season, 7 down and 7 to go. And as always, we're happy you're spending a Tuesday night with us here for some live eNASCAR action. The pace car's off and in, the field in the hands of Michael Conti as we say, let's go racing at Charlotte. This is the Coca-Cola 150. Conti almost into the outside wall off of turn 4, but he does lead lap number 1 in that beautiful patriotic number 8 WR1 Chevrolet. The battle is going to be for third on back. Bowden's defending second, and Keegan Leahy, who led the most laps in this Charlotte race last season, in the battle for third. Donovan Strauss, though, checked things up down the back straightaway, and it's going to cost him a ton of spots.
Well, and Evan, we're going to see this throughout the night. Strauss got a little bit loose there off of 2. You can see how much space that created in the field. It's really separated about the top 11 or 12 or so from everybody else, but this is going to be a really interesting racetrack, particularly in turns 3 and 4. A lot of bumps through there. They're running these rear diffusers so low, so that trouble spot is really going to be off of turn 4, where we nearly saw Michael Conti get into the wall on the first lap.
There's a good look at the battle between the 7 and Malik Ray on the inside. Bit of a new look for him at the Sim Seats Ford Mustang this week, up against Nick Ottinger, who's trying to make the move on the outside of the racetrack. I referenced to Michael Conti, one of 2 multi-time race winners this season. And you talked about drivers who have had success. You're looking at the other one, Nick Ottinger, in a really good position to be the next to join that group. You take a look at the right-hand side of your screen. This is what happened with that 20 machine, kind of on his own on the bottom. And I'll tell you what, the 24, I think, is the most impressive in that, Blake. Cody Bias was right behind Donovan Strauss, but he got a little bit out of shape and did a great job of going high and avoided him. Donovan obviously still hurt by the fact that he lost positions, but that certainly could have been much worse. He started this race up in 13th. Right now, the 20 scored in 22nd.
Well, not just props to the 24, props to everybody right there for letting Strauss gather it up. He did a heck of a job, and that's going to be a trouble spot right there. You can see that white and blue line there. There's paint right there, and there's extra grip down there on the bottom. I think with these next-gen cars, you're really testing the waters if you're going to go down there and run all the way on that grip strip, on that paint, to try and get the car to rotate, because we've seen these cars can be a handful when they rotate really well through the center of the corner.
Plenty of action still in the top 10 here. Michael Guest trying to get underneath the number 95 of Casey Kerwin, who leapfrogged him in the last lap with a pass on the outside of the racetrack in turns 1 and 2. And Kerwin will slice down in front to shut the door on that battle. And now the 95 takes sole possession of the number 8 position. We go on board with him. You're looking up the road to Nick Ottinger. As mentioned, the one of the other 2-time race winners this season, unable to make a pass on Malik Ray on that point, so Malik Ray stays in front. And then up the road, looks like a little bit of fighting in the battle for third spot. Colin Bowden stuck on the outside of the 19 of Vicente Salas, who's trying to get through on the inside as we work lap number 8.
We see Casey Kerwin just trying to be consistent and calm. That's what we've come to know from Casey Kerwin throughout the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Placed in the top 3 last night. As you see, Colin Bowden wasn't so confident about his speed in race trim, but nevertheless, you can't really argue with a good starting spot. But it looks like that top lane in 3 and 4, just not the place you want to be right now as he battles side by side with Salas.
And as we watch the battle for third continue on, advantage to the inside, and Salas is through. I want to remind you, as always, if you want to keep up to date with the latest in the world of eNASCAR, then you can sign up today. Scan the QR code in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, and you will be up to date with iRacing and NASCAR. iRacing is the official simulation partner of NASCAR. Talking about a lot of important things, Blake, you mentioned this race leading up to the Coca-Cola 600 race weekend on this Memorial Weekend. And there's a lot of very special paint schemes in the field, including that of Nick Ottinger. And on that note, want to welcome a special guest to tonight's broadcast, Corey LaJoie. Corey, first off, appreciate your time and thanks for chatting with us. You are actually going to be running this weekend the exact paint scheme that we're seeing on Nick Ottinger's car this week. It's a very special paint scheme with the USO and a tribute for Memorial Day weekend. But aside from just a good look at a race car, what else do you and the USO have planned for this weekend?
Man, we represent a lot of stuff. They have a lot of great projects going on at the USO, supporting military families nationwide and international. We got some portals where you can buy a t-shirt, a $29 t-shirt that you can be part of. Their slogan is always by the sides of our troops. So they got a pretty cool t-shirt that we'll be wearing around the track as well, trying to get some donations rounded up for that. We're going to have a bunch of military service members out at the racetrack, obviously, for the Coke 600. I believe there's going to be over 700, 800 service men and women at the racetrack on Sunday, so I'm excited about that. And we got a ton of stuff, man. This is probably my busiest week as leading up to a race as I've ever had. Let me go ahead and read some stuff off for you. So, got a Fox and Friends with my buddy Pete is an anchor there with Fox and Friends. So we're going to jump on that Saturday morning, 7:30. 4 p.m. We're filming that NBC show for USA. They're going to be following us around for the weekend as well. We have some NASCAR activation outside the racetrack at 4:30. Then we've got the USO Coke appearance at 5:30 on Saturday night at Speed Street. I believe that's Uptown. Actually, no. I think Speed Street's at the racetrack this year. I moved from Uptown Charlotte to the racetrack, so I'll be down there hanging out from 5:30 to 6:30 on Saturday night, barring that this baby that we have 39 weeks along stays in the oven. So hopefully little man stays in there and he can let me have a super busy week leading up for the longest race of our season. Then Sunday, we're going to meet with the Gold Star family that's on my windshield. Raleigh McCollum, Lance Corporal, and him and his family. Raleigh passed away in Afghanistan he was one of the 13 who got killed in the exit mission. So get to meet his family at breakfast. I'm pretty excited about that over at Spire Shop. And then, man, 3 o'clock we've got a service member luncheon. We'll be feeding some, I'm sure, a bunch of people out at the racetrack. And then obviously 600 miles of Remembrance gets fired up at 6 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Looking forward certainly to watching the race, Corey, and I appreciate your time. We'll let you get back to things, and we'll jump back in with the race in action. Like I did want to mention as well, so many great partners going to be a part of this Coca-Cola 600 race weekend, and great to see the USO specifically on board Nick Ottinger's car this weekend, today I should say, and on board Corey LaJoie's car this weekend. They're the nation's leading charitable organization in serving active duty service members and military families. If you're so inclined to support their cause, you can find them at uso.org. On board on the racetrack with Derek Bordeaux, middle of the road. I'd always find this a bit of an interesting complex, Blake. You got one of the e-racer cars in the top 10 and the other one outside of the top 20. What could be a cause of that as we see Derek trying to hold off a couple of hungry drivers behind him? He's got Retzlaff, LaPrade, and Vincent kind of all behind him.
Well, I don't think you have to look any further, Evan, than the spread in qualifying amongst this field. It was a 29.495 that was the pole. You go back to Derek Bordeaux, a 6.59 put him in 25th. So these drivers are right on top of each other in terms of pace, and especially here at Charlotte with how low they're running these cars to the ground, it's very easy to hit a bump and have that make a big difference in your lap, James Pike.
Indeed. A few updates on your two race leaders. Michael Conti said that he's very free in the entry and exit of turns 3 and 4, more neutral in turns 1 and 2. Keegan Leahy was gaining on him a few laps ago, but that has since backed off. Leahy's been whisper quiet on the radio. The only thing he said, I'm just going to try and save some tires. So you might not necessarily know what Keegan's got. He may have a little bit more left in the tank and might be waiting for a little bit later point in this race to push.
Well, Keegan is in a tricky spot because, of course, he started the season real well. He had an average finish of an 8.6, Blake, over the course of the first 3 races of the season. Since then, it's been in the mid to high 20s, including a season-worst 33rd place finish at Bristol. He is 21st in the standings, below the relegation cut coming into this evening's race. Not what anybody would have expected out of the 2021 champ.
It's definitely been a struggle for Keegan Leahy, but we know that he is a qualifying maestro. We know how important that's been with these races, being 150 miles as he runs in the second position. But, Evan, one driver I have my eye on is Malik Ray. Not only was he super enthusiastic during practice, if you've watched Malik or any of his streams, you know what a personality that he can be. But he is fast tonight. Started in 12th, already up to 4th, 20 laps into the race. I know he was awfully close last year to winning his first career eNASCAR race. And I tell you what, that 7 car is flying right now. He nearly got by Vicente Salas there for third, but at least early on in terms of race pace, I got my eye on Malik Ray. He might be a first-time winner tonight if this pace keeps up.
Yeah, Malik kind of has had a bit of an opposite season compared to that of Keegan Leahy. It started a little bit slow for the drive of the 7, but it has been real good and real consistent since. And with a move on the bottom, move Malik Ray up 9 positions. He's the biggest mover in the top 20 in this field. And now he is up into the number 3 spot. You talk about how close he came. Of course, that was the 2nd place finish he had right here at Charlotte. And this race was a 300-mile event in the middle of the season last year. So good things for him so far. Leahy's still challenging to Michael Conti, but Conti has led all 22 completed laps thus far as we close in on 1/4 distance in this race. But a side-by-side action with Colin Bowden, who has really slipped off after he started on the outside of the front row. The Blue Emu Chevrolet lose it out to Keegan Leahy's teammate with that Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan co-owned 2311 race seat entry. Mitchell DeYoung now up into the number 13 spot, and Femiola in this mix as well. He's going to put his number 79 machine to the outside of the racetrack. Femi making some moves as well. Of course, has been riding a high from opening the season with a race win at Daytona International Speedway and having another car with some good pace here this afternoon. Looks like he'll be the next one to challenge Bowden, peeking to the inside, but won't go for the move quite yet.
Good pace, good paint scheme on this race cars. Oh, Bowden, what a slide. Oh, Bowden's up into the wall as he overcorrects, slides back down into the field, and I imagine that will be a caution as you see them wrecking smoke everywhere. Logan Clampett's involved. Zach Novak looks like he's able to just scrape by, and Bowden, I think, was fighting a loose race car, Evan, and we know how snappy these next gens can get, but wasn't able to quite hang on to it.
It was a unique angle because we were on board with Femi as he caught the back of him, and I mentioned he wasn't going to go for the move. There was a bit of a hesitation. He looked to the bottom, didn't go for it, and then it was pretty clear that Colin Bowden got a little bit loose going off it into turn 3, and you saw it snap up the hill. Thought we got away with it, but eventually it was Clampett who spun around. So a caution flag at quarter distance. Michael Conti in control for the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Right now, thousands of brave service members are deployed across Europe, supporting our allies and defending our freedoms. And thousands of families are missing their loved ones, awaiting their safe return home. As America's leading nonprofit supporting our brave heroes and their families, the USO is committed to go where they go, to make sure they know they are not forgotten and feel the support of a grateful nation. Show your appreciation for our brave troops today at uso.org/support. There's a reputation on the track, being built this very minute.
He's made his own history.
One that embraces the crazy,
Oh my goodness.
the fast, and the unpredictable.
Everett's gonna win it at the line.
That looks into the eye of the competition and screams, "Bring it!" Loud enough so the whole world will see it coming. I am the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I am NASCAR.
And back live at iRacing's virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. Coverage of tonight's race is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Asus, the official PC and monitor of eNASCAR. And by Logitech G, Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedal set of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. Well, you saw pit service there on the side-by-side coverage. Let's take a second look at why we were on the caution to begin with. Blake, and it all started right there. The bobble from Colin Bowden, but then it was the chaos that it caused that brought out the yellow as he got into the outside wall.
Yeah, you see him straddling that seam right there. I'm sure it upset the handling of that race car, and you really just a lot of innocent victims kind of getting piled into this. Really nowhere to go. It really funnels off a turn 4 exit here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. So if anything, that's the worst position probably to have an accident like that, especially with that pit road wall that's been built down there since you started running the Roval here at Charlotte. And James, I'm sure not a very thrilled Colin Bowden with you.
Hey, Colin, it seems like everybody is fighting a loose race car right now, yourself included. Just how tricky is it to hang on to this car in the corner, especially compared to the car that we were running last season?
Yeah, it's pretty difficult. Like I said, that's kind of what I thought was going to happen. I wasn't expecting to be that loose, but I knew I wasn't very good. I mean, run like the north end of a southbound donkey here all week, so just got loose. I was trying to stay out of Femi's way. I didn't want to wreck in front of him, and it just overcorrected into the wall. I'm sorry for everyone else who got involved, but they can be mad if they want to. I really don't care if they're mad or not, but just unfortunate. It's the way our year's gone. Hopefully we can we're done for the night, but hopefully the eraser, Blue Emu, Connecticut Realty, hopefully at some point this year, hopefully we can get a decent finish that we deserve. But the driver definitely was not up to par tonight. That was 100% my fault.
Even though it might not be the finish that you want, can you take away positives with the good qualifying effort you had earlier?
No, this one I really can't take away any positives. I mean, I think I was 2nd to 15th in about 10 laps there. So, I mean, I had to be the slowest driver here. I mean, it was pretty embarrassing how slow I was, really. But there's just not a whole lot I could take away from this other than stepping on it right there in front of the whole field. But, I mean, you'll have that. Nothing we can do about it. It is what it is.
Coming to Charlotte, looking to regroup and get after it for a few weeks.
Yep.
Well, there's the thoughts from Colin about it, who's going to have another poor result in this one after showing so much speed in that qualifying session. The first caution flag is likely to go behind us this time through. No major changes at the front of the field on the pit cycle. Everybody going for 4 fresh Goodyear tires, and Michael Conti able to maintain the race lead. He'll be on the front row with Keegan Leahy. But as we watch this restart, let's take the perspective back in traffic and ride on board with our Coca-Cola onboard camera. Oh, and trouble, a spin and a stack up on the outside, and the driver involved in all of it there. You can see several others off and into the grass, but maybe the worst of it all is Dylan Alta back there, one of the drivers involved. And I think, Blake, we had jumped on board with him and didn't really see it all develop, but it looked like just one of those stereotypical accordion effect checkups. Somebody taps the brakes, next guy hits it harder. Same thing that happens on the freeway in rush hour traffic, and unfortunately he was the odd man out and got punted into the outside wall by Corey Vincent.
We're going to take a look at it one more time, and my goodness, I know this. I don't know whether that's the commentator's curse or the production crew's curse for riding on board with that, but you're going to see right there Kyle Peddle right in front of them. I'm getting in my ear that was my fault, but nevertheless, Dylan Alt, you see that checkup right there, and Vincent was committed. You have to be committed on these restarts, especially here in the back of the pack. We talk about it all the time, how important it is to get all the track position you can, so everybody's going to jump and try to get everything they can, and unfortunately Vincent just not able to react in time to that, and Alt gets the worst end of it. I think that was only a 2-car incident, but Alt's front clip is absolutely destroyed.
And Blake, I'm gonna join you here. I'm gonna say that was a production curse, because I feel like we've cursed many drivers over the years. I don't think that one was on us. That was just a bit of an unfortunate timing there, and of course ends up with a couple of drivers into the outside wall. I mentioned off at the top of this, Blake, that this intermediate racetrack here at Charlotte is so critical. That's because, again, they make up such a large portion of the schedule. And 2 weeks ago, we went racing at another 1.5-mile racetrack in Kansas Speedway. Same kind of format, 100 laps, 150 miles. You saw Conti, who's been good tonight, involved in a wreck early in that one. But even though these racetracks same on the spec sheet, doesn't mean they race the same as each other.
They certainly don't race the same. We know everybody was kind of fighting those loose conditions. We saw Keegan Leahy got a little bit sideways last week. We saw a lot of close 3-wide action. You could see Caden Honeycutt there in the middle. But the one thing that has been consistent, Evan, from every 1.5 miles that we've run, I know the drivers, it's been a big topic of this season that the races have been a little bit shorter, but I think it's really forced their hand and brought out that aggression that we typically waited until the last 30 or 40 laps of a race to see. It's brought it out immediately. It's made the action a lot more intense, a lot more competitive, and I think because of that, you see what Garrett Lowe was able to do. Race wasn't too short for him. He started all the way to the back, raced his way to the front, and did it the old-fashioned way.
It was a big race win for Garrett Lowe last time out. I mentioned that the championship picture a little bit clearer and clearer as the weeks have gone on. Garrett, the 5th different driver to take a win so far this year, joining the likes of Wilson, Olot, Conti, and Ottinger. As we get closer to those playoffs, more information on the schedule, standings, and even how you could one day qualify for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, log on to iRacing.com/eNASCAR today. That is your home for all things at eNASCAR, and you'll be able to keep up to date on this championship. But of course, if you're enjoying the action here on the iRacing service and thinking to yourself, hey, that looks like a lot of fun, you can get yourself set up and start racing tonight. All you got to do is log on to iRacing.com today. As always, up to 40% off new iRacing memberships. Super easy to jump behind the wheel and get your sim racing career started.
And there's hardly a better time to do it than now, Evan. This is Coca-Cola 600 week. All the series that are going to come out and run true 600-mile races. I know it's one of the most sought-after special events that iRacing hosts on the service. A lot of drivers going to be sitting in their sim rigs for upwards of 3 to 4 hours, and this is a great week to get involved. And, of course, the Charlotte Motor Speedway included with that basic subscription, so you don't even have to worry about buying the track.
Perfect setup. No better way to get it underway. And, of course, you can compete in all levels of the NASCAR ladder here on the iRacing service. Let's just hope it's closer to 3 instead of 4, Blake, because I think I'm calling a couple of those 600-mile races this weekend. A little bit longer than what we're seeing here this afternoon. So
yeah,
certainly you're going to see a lot of these guys in it, too.
I feel you on that. I did 508 miles at Rockingham. Great race, but it was pretty long, that's for sure.
It can be tough, even if it's behind the wheel of a virtual race car nonetheless. Lights go on top of the pace car, so the restart will be held for 1 lap. So we'll try it again the next time around. Of course, we talked about what Michael Conti's been able to do so far this season. His race wins coming in both Las Vegas and Richmond. Nick Ottinger, I mentioned, he's the other 2-time winner. That was Bristol Dirt and Dover. And you take a look at our picks from our Countdown to Green crew. I know that when they're wrong, Blake, we like to dunk on them. So when they're looking good, let's give them some dues. All 3 of those picks right now running inside of the top 4. 66 laps to go, long way from home. However, it seems that they were quite in tune with who was going to have speed, at least early.
If history is correct here, I think Camille has the formula figured out. I mean, she has been beating up on Alan and Brandon all season long with these picks, and I think that might be a little bit of an omen here. You see Steven Wilson trying to warm up his tires running in 3rd. He's been strong all year, but it seems like if you're picked by Camille, it's going to be a good night for you. So we'll see if that holds true.
And we'll see how this one shakes out. There's a look at another one of those good patriotic paint schemes with that Smithfield Ford of the 10 of Steven Wilson. Ottinger rocking some red, white, and blue. We've seen a lot of Michael Conti up front so far. He has still led every single lap. We'll see if he's going to be able to continue that trend. This time, we'll jump on board a little bit further on down the running order with the 3 of Corey Vincent restarting this race back in 29th spot as we come to the green flag with 66 laps to go. This is your Coca-Cola onboard camera. Not too bad for Corey back there in traffic, able to get down to the inside here, clearing that 14 machine behind Nick Shelton. And Corey Vincent in the green, up 8 positions from where he started this race. Despite the damage on the front and back end, he's going to have to hope some more drivers struggle if he wants to continue to improve. Up front, though, no challenge for Michael Conti. He continues to lead. Stephen Wilson second. The fight's going to be behind for third. It is Casey Kerwin on the inside of Leahy. Maybe a little bit of a push courtesy of Vicente Salas that time through. And you look off at the back of P2, Stephen Wilson clear for third. Is the 95 of Kerwin. That's a race high P3 for him right now.
And I tell you what, Wilson has looks really, really good right here. You could see steady hands through 3 and 4, which is not common up here. He always looks tense as he does. It seems like every time we get to say that about Stephen Wilson. But just looking at how these cars are driving, Evan, we're seeing a lot of what we saw at Kansas last week. Keegan Leahy was loose, Vicente Salas, Williams Esports. We've seen both of those cars really kind of sideways right here, but Wilson, Kerwin, and Ray right now look awfully fast in race trim.
Yeah, they really do. And Stephen Wilson, in his second year of competition, the one-time race winner at Cedar Rapids, Iowa for Stewart Haas Esports. It's a good night for the Haas gang so far because his teammate Dylan Duvall down in P9 right now. So both of the Stewart Haas Ford Mustangs running inside at the top 10 and ahead of this deadlock battle between the 45 and the 19. It's for 4th and 5th position. Keegan Leahy has been stuck up on the outside since this restart, and Vicente Salas underneath trying to clear that VRS Toyota, all while Malik Ray watches on and has to decide which lane he wants to work with, kind of playing both of them down the front straightaway as these two are still side by side.
Well, I was wondering if we were going to see drivers all the way up against the wall in 1 and 2. I think that lane will come in. It just hasn't so far yet. Maybe when these tires get a little bit slicker and that bottom start to slide off of it a little bit, that top will really come into play. But you see Malik Ray, he's able to make up so much ground despite having dirty air in the bottom and in the top. So I think Ray just trying to push somebody by in this side-by-side battle. We know how intense they were even in the All-Star race at Texas this past week. That when you get side-by-side, that side draft is so powerful, but it'll slow both cars down. And right now, Kerwin has gotten right up to the back bumper of Stephen Wilson, and you see Conti even trying to break the draft down the back straightaway.
Yeah, going a little bit low there off of the outside wall, trying to not let that 10 get that toe all the way down the back straightaway. And you are seeing your top 3 very even on speed right now, and somewhat surprisingly, not really pulling away a ton from that battle behind them for 4th. Typically, you see a duo like you're seeing now between Salas and Leahy go side by side for this many laps. It's going to allow the drivers in front of them to get away. Not the case. And again, more serpentining on the back straightaway for Michael Conti, going low to get Stephen Wilson out of that hole that he's punching it into the air down the back stretch. Try to keep that gap to the 10 machine. Looking a little bit back to 14th position. Here is Alan Bowes right now in the number 55. Started 10th, slid back a little bit.
Space Station Gaming being represented well here for Alan Bowes, who has, not really had a season to write home about. I know that Space Station camp, it's been a little bit of a struggle after they really burst onto the scene in 2021. But Bowes, another car that at least I can look at, Evan, and you just see how well it hooks the bottom of the racetrack. It seems like these cars that are set up to run right along that paint, we know how much grip it has, but it seems as though if your car is well handling, you can go down there, use that grip, and really use it to your advantage. As you see now, Bowes will go to the outside. Still not a lot of clean air right there as Mitchell DeYoung will kind of take the downforce off the nose of his race car.
It is an interesting point as we're on board with Alan Bowes that most racetracks, Blake, that apron is just a single line, right? Basically, when you get down to the painted line, that is the transition, banking to apron. Here at Charlotte, you got kind of 3 lines, right? You got white, blue, and white, so you're actually able to get all the way down to the bottommost white line before you hit that transition. So that's why if you're seeing somebody driving on the line, there is a little bit of bank left down there, and they're using that inside, as you mentioned, to hook up and get around the corner as well. So it looks super dicey every time they do it, but if that's the fast way, they're going to do it every single time. And look at the 20 car all the way down.
All the way down to the bottom, but you see a long line of cars really starting to use the middle of 3 and 4. They're running right above that seam that's in the middle of the racetrack trying to straddle it. You can't really go up to the wall, and there's just so many bumps out there with how low they're running their rear diffusers in this car. It's a real struggle there to go and kind of make that very top work in 3 and 4. But you see Donovan Strauss, kind of the lone horse there on the bottom, trying to make it work. Goes right down, gets a little bit of that grip right now, gets a little bit of dirty air in front of him, but he's losing a lot of momentum on the straightaways because that draft that's kind of building up in the outside, they're getting on that right rear, pulling that car back.
It is, and now you'll see that battle is going to continue probably for 5 laps or so. There's going to be a lot to happen with both those lanes having opportunities to make passes, clear each other. You can see it's not the only side-by-side in this group. There's more fighting to back inside of the top 7 or 8 or so. Malik Ray fighting with Nick Ottinger in the number 25 machine. He's off the corner that time. Maybe the 20 clear. Thought Strauss had finally shook him loose, but he did not. And that 23 machine of Mitchell DeYoung just going to come right back at him, continue to pound the pavement, and continue to try to make those moves as they all try to get back inside of the top 10. Those drivers fighting right now in a battle for 12th and 13th position. I mentioned some of the battles up front. Malik Ray, Vicente Salas, Keegan Leahy, and Nick Ottinger, who's trying to get back to where he was earlier. Let's jump on board that USO Logitech G Chevrolet with our Logitech onboard camera. Three wide down to turn number 1. It's Salas, Leahy, and then Malik Ray, who made the move to the very inside. Leahy's going to slide into that one, and they'll go 2 by 2 down the back straightaway. Salas goes low to block. We're seeing a lot of that movement, Blake, on the back straightaway here. Drivers really trying to break the aero draft in. 45 went a little bit too high that time in the corner, and he's going to lose out on all of those spots.
You see Leahy get shoved out wide. I was wondering how that move was going to work out for Malik Ray. Was able to at least hold serve there on the bottom. You saw Salas able to go through in the middle. And by the way, that's brought Nick Ottinger right into the fray as well. He's kind of been lurking around this kind of 3-car pack that's really fallen off your top 3. And right now, Ottinger just picking through him. He really was benefited by the fact that they went 3 wide there for a couple of moments.
And as we look off of the back of Vicente Salas' number 19, we go back down to pit road to James Pike.
A whole bunch of updates here from pit road. First and foremost, we noticed that Keegan Leahy's fallen off a little bit. That's because he's trying to save fuel. He saved a lot under that last caution, was clutching and coasting, might be trying to make it to the end from here. Michael Conti thinks that for some other people that might not be a bad strategy. He explicitly said, if I'm Casey Kerwin, I'm going to try and save some fuel and steal a win from underneath the nuisance of everybody. As for Conti himself, he said he's not worried about it. He's got 2 wins already, and I quote, "I don't really think I'm here for fuel mileage." So Conti will try and push. Kerwin, Leahy might be saving. Stephen Wilson, by the way, Conti's crew at least thinks that car is going to fall off with the short run speed that he had. He was charging the corner really hard at the beginning of this run, but it seems like that car is starting to back up just a little bit. So lots of updates from the front of the field.
And you can see how little separation, Blake, there is on this run. I mean, midfield, you still have side-by-side battles every couple of positions on the scoring pylon, it seems. Looking at a battle with Taylor Hurst and Dylan Duval. Behind him, you got a battle between the likes of Bobby Zelensky and Garrett Maines. I mean, the midfield just cannot get separated like cars in the top 10 have been able to.
And this has really been the case all year long, that racing back here for about 15th, and you hear commentators talk about it all the time, not just in this series. If you listen to Steve Letarte or Jeff Burton or Dale Earnhardt Jr., and they talk about the one thing that kind of shocks them when they get that bird's eye view of the racetrack is how hard everybody fights back here for every spot, 15th, 20th, 25th, 35th. It doesn't matter. These guys are here to get every single point that they can, especially in a year, Evan, we already have as many winners as we do. 5 winners, 10 playoff spots. There's only going to be a couple of drivers, if any, that get in on points, so you need every single point that you can get possible.
We remember how big of a conversation this was at a similar point last season, right? Setting a record for consecutive different race winners through the middle portion of the season. There is, as you mentioned, maybe going to be limited spots, if any, on points. So finding your way to victory lane, absolutely critical to the way that these championships are run in 2022. Look at onboard with Bolin and Reynolds. It's a good look inside the battle for 10, 11, and 12. And Reynolds on the offensive, going to go down to the inside. The General Tire Ford Mustang, another one of the race cars, sporting a good patriotic look, is underneath that number 23 machine of Mitchell DeYoung. And they will go side by side in a battle for 11th and 12th spot. Bottom should be able to get the upper hand, center off, and there it is. Reynolds going to slide up and clear Mitchell DeYoung. DeYoung's had an interesting race because he's gained from where he started, Blake, but every time I look, he's stuck on the outside and drop it back. So the 23 team trying to figure that out as they go into these battles on these green flag runs to make a difference. Remember, we're only at 42 laps left to go past the halfway point. So we mentioned the sprint nature of these races. You don't get a lot of time to adjust and to work on things. You're on board with Zach Novak as we are closing in to the end of the race here from Charlotte. But it is still Michael Conti leading the way. And back live from Charlotte, where coverage of tonight's race is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Asus, the official PC and monitor of eNASCAR. And by Logitech G. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedal set of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Less than 40 laps to go in tonight's Coca-Cola 150, the 8th race of this 2022 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, and Michael Conti has been on cruise control, Blake. There was the caution to flag earlier in this one that led everybody down to the pit lane. Keegan Leahy made it close off pit road, but Conti was able to maintain and has been in control for all 63 laps thus far, looking for his third win of the year.
And he has an amazing paint scheme there that Ryan Williams made up there. The WR1 Sim Chassis Chevrolet always looks good when Ryan Williams is designing them. And you take a look here at Zach Novak. I know we have a lot of fantastic paint schemes that are obviously honoring that Memorial Day weekend coming up here. And it's neat to see the creativity. We see a lot of camouflage. We see a lot of the stars and stripes here. Novak, in particular, though, this Sunoco car probably is one of my favorites. It's always one of my favorites. Sunoco, those big, bright colors always really pop out at you, but I'm loving the combination of Sunoco and camouflage on that race car. Looks beautiful from up here in the booth.
It does look really good, and as you see that 5 machine going through, we talked about all of those patriotic schemes. Right-hand side of your screen, it's a good look at all of them. The Arby's Foundation and the USO car. You got the 40 machine with the folded flag foundation on that entry. You got a little bit of camo on Liam Brotherton's entry. I mean, it really is great, Blake, to see all these teams. We've seen a lot of that 8 car tonight get involved on this Memorial Day weekend NASCAR tradition. You're going to see a lot more of it with the big show this Sunday.
It certainly are. You see Caden Honeycutt. Michael Guest just went on by. Love the kind of fluorescent yellow on that number. You see the Ledford Billiard Supply Junior Motorsports machine right there. They changed the colors on the pool balls to be red, white, and blue. See Brian Mercurio there. Tough luck for him involved in that wreck earlier, but even has ECU and a little bit of patriotic love right there. And then a Blue Angels tribute there. I'm hearing from Jimmy Mullis and his scheme as we have drivers that are starting to make their way down on the pit road. So not everybody thinking that they can make it right now, Evan.
No, and we heard some of those discussions. James Pike clued us into it. Drivers asking, am I on a fuel strategy race or not? Almost everybody pitted 42 laps ago, so it may be unanimous consent that these drivers will not make it to the end, and they are headed to pit road this time. You can see on the pit lane a couple of drivers locking it up, but Boland's down. You got DeYoung, Bose, Hurst in. And typically, when you see a bunch of drivers start to come in, Blake, it's not a window that's going to last long. I would expect your race leaders to follow suit pretty quickly and get the fuel necessary to go to the end of this race.
Well, again, they came down, and that caution was on lap 25, so you'd think this is kind of splitting that run nearly in half between what would be a 75-lap run to the end. But what this is telling me, Evan, the fact that we're splitting it just past that halfway point is that a lot of drivers have no chance of making it on fuel. So we've heard discussion about fuel mileage, whether they can make it, whether they can't. It's obviously something that you would have had to commit from the very beginning if you were going to try to make it here as you're right on board with Matt Busa.
On board with Busa in the number 9 position right now. He started this race in 28th and has really benefited from these longer green flag runs. Of course, before drivers started to pit, he was in a 15th position, but there it is. There's the big pit stop. Michael Conti from the race lead is in. Again, trying to avoid getting undercut by anybody else, because you're going to get about a second a lap faster fresh tires to what you were running now. So some of the drivers like to go for the undercut to take advantage of it, and once the leader comes in, that's the big signal that you're going to see everybody else likely quickly thereafter. Casey Kerwin, though, will not follow suit immediately, so the 95 gets his name on the list of lap leaders. He leads the top Stephen Wilson, Malik Ray, Blake Reynolds, and Derek Bordeaux, who have still yet to pit. You're still waiting on 26 drivers to pit. Mitchell DeYoung is currently your leader of those who has pitted. Of course, that's because he did undercut Michael Conti, but Conti should have the speed to get back around him.
Now, what's this created, Evan, is you really have a big split here. About 27th on back is 1 lap down. You had a number of drivers who were already damaged who decided to come down and pit. You have those like Ray Alfalo who have just been riding around, and what a struggle it's been for old Ford time here this season, Evan. I know at the beginning of the year we were talking about this is going to be a huge year, as you could see him pop in the clutch. So Ray Alfalo definitely going to try to make it on fuel strategy here and try to get a little bit of a turnaround in this season going. We knew with this next-gen car, Alfalo had a big opportunity to kind of start running towards the front of the field again, but we just haven't seen it play out. A lot of bad luck, and who knows, maybe tonight if he's able to clutch and lip that thing home to the end, might be a good chance to get a top 10 and turn some momentum around.
Yeah, certainly what they're hoping for. We talked about the success that drivers have had here over the years, and Ray Alfalo is certainly somebody who has speed here at Charlotte historically. and would love to be able to back that up with a good run here this year. I think a run that he is desperately looking for. Fowler, of course, your defending race winner here at Charlotte. Garrett Main, somebody else who's also clutching a little bit, so it appears that maybe not so unanimous on the strategy, and again, they're all going to be slowing their lap times down significantly as they try to save some fuel here. Main's getting passed by several drivers, all of those cars on fresh tires who just pitted. Graham Boland, one of the drivers, going around the outside. This is always a tricky spot too, strategy-wise, Blake, when you got so many cars on fresh tires, you got the other half of the cars on old tires, closing rate is quick, you can get into some uncomfortable positions, and you really need to make sure that your spotters effectively communicating to you who you're actually racing against and where cars are coming and then going.
This is a situation or a recipe, Evan, for disaster. I even ran a Rotopro race here at Charlotte, and this is exactly what happened. You had these differing strategies, you had differing speeds, drivers who were blowing by others at a second or a second and a half clip faster, and because of that, a caution comes out. And of course, you also have to wonder if you're one of those cars that's on those fresh tires. This is one of the more difficult racetracks to get onto pit road. You have to use the bottom of the racing groove to slow down to get down to pit road speed. So if someone is coming in, communicating that amongst the drivers and amongst the spotters, very important as well. If you're one of these drivers that's going to try to stretch it, you're going to need to communicate if, well, you're going to be a little short and you have to come down, because that's where obviously a lot of calamity can happen as well.
Yeah, you have to effectively start your entry to the pit lane still on the bank. You can't immediately pull it down to the flat of the apron or you're not going to get around the corner. And I saw Mitchell DeYoung was a little bit close when he was coming in. As you mentioned, the communication is really important there to let the drivers around you know when you're going to be getting onto the binders, so they have time to get up and get out of your way and go around you. Reynolds enjoying the alternate strategy here as he runs up into number 3 position right now. Of course, Malik Ray's still there as well. So is it end up going to be about half the drivers pitting, the other half trying to stretch this?
That's what we're seeing right now. I think if you've gone this far, you're committed. But one thing that I'm looking at, Malik Ray, that last lap by, 3/10 the previous lap, 2/10 this past lap. So Malik Ray starting to inch in little by little to Casey Kerwin's lead. And you also have to remember, he's getting draft right now. That is helping his fuel mileage right now. So he's getting a little bit better fuel mileage right now.
So that's going to improve as he continues his run so far here this afternoon. And now it's a waiting game. We mentioned that we probably weren't going to get under the lights like you'll see this weekend's Coca-Cola 600N, but a little bit of sunset action, track changing. The conditions will cool off a little bit, but also sunset, depending on the angle, could make viewing a little bit difficult. If you get it into the windshield, you can see the sun reflected off of the racetrack right there. It's just tucked behind the grandstands, and your race leader, Casey Kerwin, to pit road, James.
Casey Kerwin down on pit road. He knew he wasn't going to be able to make it, and so he talked with his crew. They originally wanted him to try and take 15 gallons, but he said, absolutely not. It's going to be too much. Let's just take the 7. Let's raise the air pressure in the right rear. Otherwise, we're going to work with what we have. Don't touch anything else on this car. We'll see whether or not it's enough to propel Casey to his first win of the season.
Right side's up first. Going to try to optimize, of course, time here on the pit lane. He is going to go 2 tires and off. That's notable because the drivers who pitted previously, some of them went for 4, others went for 2. Shortest pit stop that we've seen to the likes of Mitchell DeYoung, 2 tires only. Other drivers have gone for 4 on their previous pit stops with the likes of Michael Conti and Femi Olat. So there is a mixed bag of strategy on all ends, and this has given the race lead to Malik Ray in the 7. He is now the driver that everybody's looking at, still waiting on your top 22 cars to come down pit road. Mitchell DeYoung is still the lead car of those who have come down pit road.
Well, and you heard even the adjustment that James was given there, a lot of air pressure adjustments. That's to compensate for the fact that he's going to have 2 tires, a little bit of a looser race car. So good preparation on that 95 XSET gaming team to recognize the differences you'll need with the 2 tires. And there you see it, how long everybody has stayed out since their last pit stop. Malik Ray staying out quite a distance, or excuse me, that's the lap that they last pit on, not the distance since that pit. You could see lap 27 for Malik Ray, 26 for everybody else. down that last caution flag that we had, the only caution of the race.
Well, we talk a lot about how critical the championship battle is going to get as this season rolls on, and you take a look at the live points on the right-hand side of your screen. The biggest thing right now would be Malik Ray in the 7 would launch himself way up if he could win this thing. As you see the 42 of Bordeaux come onto the pit lane, that would effectively put the 3 car out of a top 20 or top 10 position, I should say, because you're looking at a Malik Ray driver who is not currently in one of those playoff positions. So that is going to be, I think, the big thing to look for. Of course, all those race winners. If we could find another new race winner, there's a chance we walk out of Charlotte with only 4 points-paying positions left on the playoff grid. Latest driver to take advantage of this strategy is Steven Wilson. He is still in the number 2 spot, but he is 2.3 seconds behind Malik Ray. On this call, Malik Ray right now a mile ahead of where everybody else is. Wilson not that far ahead of the battle between 3rd and 4th, where Zach Novak and Matt Busa are pretty close together, about 12 car lengths behind him.
Well, and of course, that situation with Malik Ray, if he can get to the top 20, that's that important asterisk right there next to the accomplishment. If Malik Ray can get into the top 20, that win would get him in, but at least as he currently stands at the moment, a little bit behind that cut line, 7 points back from 20th right now. He sits 24th in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series standings, but if he were to leapfrog the couple of drivers in front of him, and you imagine he would if he got the full 40 points for winning the race, he would be in a position, at least after the running tonight, to be in position to lock himself into the playoffs.
Correct. Malik Ray is only 2 points out of the top 20. So if he got race-winning points, he would jump into the top 20 in points. However, because he's not currently, that's why the graphic wouldn't reflect it. But of course, those 5 bonus points or 5 additional points for the race win versus the next closest driver would give a race winner, Malik Ray, enough points to get to the top 20 for a race win to count towards playoff eligibility. And there's so many drivers in similar situations, right? Somebody like a Zach Novak, who was looking to get a little bit of luck on his side, 16th in the points. He had a bit of a rough start to the year. Blake Novak had a 37th, a 28th, and a 29th to start the year. His last 2 finishes, though, P5 and 6. I mean, that team is starting to turn the corner, hopefully at the right time. Again, you're putting all your eggs in one basket here, though, on a strategy call like this.
You are, and at this point, you're going to try to stay out. I mean, we only have 12 laps to go, so you're at least going to try to get to the line, or you're going to run it on fumes, hoping and praying for a caution. And we still see a big split right now. Top 20, I believe, right now have yet to pit. DeYoung leading the group, who has come down pit road in 21st, 22 seconds back. And at this pace 7, they're not going to catch this group. So if the drivers who are on fuel, at least Ray, Wilson, Novak, all the drivers who are up in the top 5, they're not going to have to worry about getting run down. The tire advantage has gone away for the most part, and we only have 11 laps to go. So if they can make it, this is going to be a great call. Big if, though.
Yeah, that is a big if. And listen, we have seen plenty of races over the years, Blake, here at Charlotte in the NASCAR Cup Series, where fuel has been a question down to the very last lap. Do we see it again here tonight in the Coca-Cola 150?
Don't break the heart of junior fans like that again.
At least you caught what I was putting down, but I don't want to have to call it out directly. This time, though, it might be a junior motorsports car that could benefit, because, again, Conti was the one who opted to go for the safe strategy after leading all laps and go for fuel. He did not want to risk it, but with the outstanding amount of cars yet to pit, still at 20, that is a majority of your field that is yet to come down to the pit lane. And again, DeYoung still the leading car, who is good on the fuel because he only took 2 tires. Michael Conti's 4 has him about 5th on the drivers who have pitted. Conti down in 25th position in the running order at the moment. But what a win it could be for Malik Ray, a Novak, a Busa, a Wilson, a Guest. I mean, anybody in the top 5 here would love to get it, and Zach Novak is now closing on Malik Ray. Clearly, Malik trying to save some fuel. This gap was more than 2.5 seconds 5 laps ago, and Novak can feel it as he closes in, the 2019 champion looking to the outside.
Well, and I think you could see him get up on the wheel because he and Busa have really picked up their pace. They're running 31.4s if you're Ray and Wilson, but Novak and Busa clearly did their homework and saved early in this run, and now they're going to try to push the pace, make Malik Ray and Steven Wilson run out of fuel. And oh, by the way, Michael Guest also caught up to this top 5. So you're trying to see the difference here of did you save early in the run, or are you trying to get those last few fumes right now? Because Novak, I think he has that answer. He saved early, and now he's on the charge.
Well, I referenced that 2019 championship. It was when he won that championship race at Homestead back on October the 8th of 2019, the last time he saw victory lane here in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Can he get back to victory lane on the inside? But Malik Ray shakes off the challenge in the runoff at turn number 2. Still Ray, Novak, now Busa to the outside in third. Duvall's going to be coming down pit road from the number 9 position, so more drivers starting to run out of fuel as Guest in 5th tries to catch those top 4.
And I think Malik Ray trying to play the game now. He may know that he's short, but at this point, he just wants to keep the lead in case there is a caution flag. So Ray doing all he can. Boose on the outside, though, going to get a little bit of a run. And I think Boose is done saving. He's going to try to take the lead in turn 3.
To the outside goes Matt Busa in the number 75 Mode Media House Ford Mustang. New race leader with 5 laps to go. Busa leads his first lap of the afternoon, and Malik Ray over the radio coming to pit road this time. Are they all going to be short? All of these drivers pitted at about the same time. Zach Novak, though, has 5 laps more on fuel than Malik Ray does. So is the 5 going to be able to make it as Malik Ray dives down?
Ryan Luza also entering pit road. We're seeing more drivers drop one by one. I don't know. This might be for the win, Evan, between Busa and Novak, but there's just no way to tell. Wilson and Guest have also worked their way up to this battle, so you have 4 cars within 1 second, 3 to go. And if you look all the way back, Mitchell DeYoung, Casey Kerwin, they're in 18th and 19th, so still a long ways to go. And I just don't think even if they can't make it up here, that there's not somebody back there that can.
And this time by 2 laps to go for the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway in the Coca-Cola 150. Matt Busa is trying to hang on. They are both 0.6 of a second clear from Wilson. Busa last pitted 70 laps ago. Novak 67. He's got a little bit more if he needs it coming to the white flag.
Busa going to run high. I think that shows that he's pretty confident that he can make it. And Zach Novak, pretty fitting. It's the Sunoco car trying to squeeze every last drop of it out of his Chevrolet. White flag in the air.
1 lap to go for the 75 Ford of Matt Busa. You look on board with him on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Zach Novak, a defending series champion from 2019, trying to get back to victory lane for the first time since then. But Matt Busa, with a couple hundred feet to go, going to get wins in back-to-back seasons for the first time in his career. Matt Busa does it and wins at Charlotte.
And we had a couple of running out of fuel as they approached the stripe. You could see Ray Alfala jump up into the top 5 because of that. Wilson ran out towards the line. Garrett Main's able to make up some spots. Keegan Leahy was in 8th, and well, that's where he ended up finishing, but he made up about 3 or 4 spots there on the last couple of laps, so a lot happening there on the last lap. We could barely keep up with it, but again, fuel mileage rating supreme. Nicely done, Matt Busa.
It is impressive stuff. Won it at Michigan in August of last season. And now here tonight for the Charlotte Motor Speedway, this winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR, and only enough fuel to park it at the start-finish line. Matt Busa is your race winner in tonight's Coca-Cola 150.
This shows you, though, this is a great winning moment. It shows you how close he was, that he could barely get past the line. They were using every last drop to try and make it, as we're going to look at the Coca-Cola move of the race. And it's going to have to be from the 75 here throughout this whole run. It's not just one move, it's an entire run, nearly up to the lap total that's on the number on the side of his door, able to save fuel, but it comes right here, pushing the pace to try and get Ray to run out, and he makes the move around Zach Novak, who would have been his counterpart here, that can make it to the end on Sunoco fuel.
Impressive enough. Some drivers made it as many as 74 laps to the end of this race. The highest finishing driver who opted to pit ends up being Casey Kerwin in 16th position. So obviously the decision to stay out worked out in the end for those who were able to make it to the end of the race. A great showing by so many of those drivers who had led laps late in this one. Malik Ray, Casey Kerwin were also in the mix, but in the end, it is Matt Busa who is in victory lane here tonight at Charlotte, and you're trackside talking to him, Blake.
Matt Busa, your winner tonight in the Coca-Cola 150. And Matt, you had the points lead as far as drivers who haven't gotten that one yet, but guess what? You wipe out all those doubters. How does it feel to go home in victory lane tonight at Charlotte, using fuel mileage to get it done?
Yeah, man, it feels amazing. I tell you, last year I probably had 5 races in the bag, I thought, based on fuel mileage if a caution didn't come out. And of course, oldest race was the yellow came out. But yeah, this one, I had that in the back of my head, like, oh, it's just going to be yellow. This is all for nothing. But thankfully it went green, and here we are in victory lane at Charlotte. Never would have thought that. It's probably my worst track on the schedule.
Well, Matt, take me back to that restart we had, that caution the last time you pit on fuel. As soon as you leave your pit stall, is that what was on your mind, that you were going to try to stretch fuel to the end, or what point in the run did you think, hey, maybe we can try to make it?
Yeah, that was the plan all along, right from when I pit there. Just 5th gear the entire time on pace laps, clutching. When we went green, I think the first 20 to 25 laps, I was probably clutching on entry every corner. And a couple times here and there when I had some gap between me and Novak, I would just clutch. And yeah, I sputtered right past the tri-oval after taking the checkered, and now I'm just sitting here. I don't have any fuel to do any burnouts, unfortunately, but yeah, it just feels awesome to get a fuel mileage win finally.
Oh, it feels just the same even without the virtual burnout. But Matt Busa, an incredible job. I love me a good fuel mileage race, and you played it perfectly. Congratulations on making the playoffs through a win for the 2nd consecutive year.
Thank you, man. It couldn't be possible without everybody at Mode Motorsports, owned by Kyle Long and JR Rodriguez. My team, Team Conti, always puts in the work every single week. Nick Ottinger, Michael Conti especially, setup gurus. My spotter, Jason Brophy and Joseph Gulata, and Coca-Cola. Thank you for sponsoring the series, man. This is an incredible series. Hope we can continue doing this for many years to come. NASCAR, you guys broadcasting, iRacing, everyone. Thank you so much.
Very fitting. He has a Sunoco flag in the background. He had just enough of it to get to the checkered flag, and another driver that was able to stretch that Sunoco, that logo that sits on his Chevrolet, is Zach Novak. And Zach, I know it's got to be heartbreaking to come that close to getting that elusive victory, but nevertheless, an incredible effort here. Anything that maybe you could have done differently during that run, knowing that you were trying to save the whole time, but also come from the back of the field? You started 34th tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I knew Busa was, on the same strategy as us, so I kind of just tried to play defense that whole run and keep him behind me. And I think I just went a little too hard at some points in the run trying to do that, and that kind of made it where I didn't have quite enough. I had enough fuel, but I didn't have quite enough to just set me free. I kind of had to slightly save a lot of that run. So overall, I mean, hell of a strat call by my crew chief Logan Sheets. Great job by my spotter Robbie Vrabel to get me through that and keep me calm. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little disappointed and maybe a little emotional. That's the closest I've been in 2.5 years. So it sucks, but at the end of the day, I mean, P2's P2. I can't be too disappointed about it.
No, absolutely not. And Zach, I think this has been a real turnaround for you. First 3 races of the year didn't quite go your way, but ever since Richmond, fittingly so, being the old team name for Rise Esports, you've really turned it around. Is this a sign to things to come as we get within about a handful of races here before the playoffs?
I hope so. I got to work on qualifying a little bit more. Definitely not my strong suit, but the guys behind the scenes, everybody that I work on the setups with technically, they've been a huge part of all of this. Taylor Hurst, Donnie Strauss, Corey, Jimmy, Breyer, everyone that helps behind the scenes. I wouldn't be here talking to you guys without them. So huge thank you to them. Just again, it's hard to be disappointed, but at the same time, we were just so freaking close, man, so close.
Well, Zach, we hope that you can find that little bit extra to get to victory lane here before it's all said and done. Thanks for talking to us, and great job bringing it home P2.
Thanks, Blake. I just want to quickly shout out all my sponsors, Sunoco, SimSeats, Logitech, Marconi Setup Shop, Virginia State University, everyone that helps put my car out on the track every week. Big thanks to Rise Esports, and again, my whole crew behind the scenes for doing what they do. Big thanks to JDR Graphics and Apex Action Photography for everything they do as well. Like I said, man, a little bummed, but happy for P2.
Zach Novak brings it home second in the camouflage Sunoco Chevrolet for Rise Esports. But Michael Guest, another time we get to talk to, he is tied for the series lead in top 10s with 6 out of 9 races. So, Michael, been the talk of your year. Consistency has paid off for you, bringing it home P3 yet again tonight.
Yeah, it was a good race for me. I actually started up front, which I don't have a good record of doing in this series, so it was nice to start up front, and from there it was just keeping my track position. And I had no idea we were going to have a fuel race there. I only started saving about halfway through the run, so I definitely wish I could have started a little bit earlier, got the dub, but I mean, a top 3 in this kind of race is always great, so I'm happy.
Well, top 3, this is your third place finish of the season. What more do you kind of need in some of the tracks that we have coming up that might get you over the hump and get you into victory lane?
Well, it's just everything falling in the right place. We've been close every race. We've got the speed. Our team has the speed. We're all up front. It's just having everything go right. But we're about to hit a stretch of tracks that are definitely different from the normal and what we normally run. So that's going to shake things up a bit going to Gateway and the road courses coming up. So looking forward to all that.
All right, Michael, well, we'll go ahead and let you go. Another solid effort for the Jim Beaver Esports driver as a special paint scheme adorned on that race car brings it home in P3. And Evan, what a spectacular race we saw come down to the wire right there.
Indeed, we take a look at your Coca-Cola full race results tonight. Matt Busa, of course, victorious atop Zach Novak and Michael Guest. There's a look at your top 10 big points nights for the likes of Mola, Salfalo, Wilson as well. Keegan Leahy bouncing back from a poor race a couple of weeks ago as well. So this is big. I think the biggest takeaway, though, another spot claimed by another first-time winner this season. Busa had been good all year. You mentioned he was the highest running driver without a race win yet, and now cements, I think, his claim as one of the top drivers in that championship battle that may be flying a bit under everybody else's radar.
No doubt about it. I think it's great to put that stamp in early at this part of the years. You see Blade Witt, a solid run for that number 16. They've been needing it in 11th, as well as Liam Brotherton 12th. How about Mercurio involved in that early incident? He's able to get a 13th out of it. Bias 14th, Kyle Peddle in 15th. Fortunately, the strategy didn't work out for Kerwin or DeYoung as they finished 16th, 17th, and mostly further on back here, Evan, everybody who came down pit road did not end up being the way to go tonight.
I think the big story in this one ends up being Michael Conti leads 69 of 100 laps tonight to finish in 23rd position. You look all the way down here. A poor night for the likes of Kyle Peddle and Zach Novak, who started inside of the top 15. Novak started in, you talk about the positions in which everybody started. You got guys way down here in the red. Bowden from P2, Clampett involved in the early accident. Just a tough go for a lot of these guys. Malik Ray also had a chance to win this thing.
Speeding on pit road on that last stop.
It's tough. There's so many drivers who we've talked about. They've had a rough year. They show some speed, and it's just tough to put it all together. But again, at this point in the season, I don't know how many more of those you can afford. Of course, next week is a first in series history. We are taking the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series to Worldwide Technology Raceway.
This is such a fun racetrack, Evan, and I think it's so great that we're finally seeing this crossover, not only into the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, but into the NASCAR Cup Series as well. These next-gen cars carry so much speed around the corner. It's going to be awesome to see what they're able to do, how hard they're able to drive, and the type of racing that this place is going to provide. It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to yet another first for this series.
I see a couple of virtual cars already pulling in because it is next week. There is no Monday off next time through. Until next time, though, that is it for us here tonight from the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. So on behalf of our entire team at iRacing, NASCAR, Coca-Cola, and for our broadcast team tonight. For everybody downstairs, for our Countdown to Green crew, and of course for your broadcast team tonight. For James Pike on Pit Road, Blake McCandless, my name is Evan Pasoko. Thanks for tuning in, and congratulations to Matt Busa. Gets the first win for both he and Mode Motorsports on 2022. The road to $300,000 will continue next Tuesday night. That is Tuesday, May the 31st, from the virtual Worldwide Technology Raceway. That race and every race of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series can be found exclusively here on eNASCAR.com. Until next time, good night from the Queen City.